price. For the J's, I can't stop at the light. I got the sands on. You out, but you pushing my man's on.
Now we got the worst botched executions in human history by Kelvin. I have no idea what this entails, but I'm assuming it's gonna be good. It's 11 minutes long, and he's a animator. So let's see what he's talking about. The worst botched executions in human history. Let's see it.
Here's executions that just went completely wrong. Starting with the story of Thomas Creech, who was Idaho's longest-standing death row inmate. Thomas Creech has been in prison since November 8th, 1974. That means he's been in prison for 49 years. That is 7 times as old as Fortnite.
Wait, what a minute. Wait, what did he say?
Was longest-standing death row inmate. Thomas Creech has been in prison since November 8th, 1974. That means he's been in prison for 49 years.
Whoa.
That is 7 times as old as Fortnite.
That's wild.
Trust me, you needed to know that. Creech was in prison for the murder of 2 people, back to back. He was almost immediately sentenced to death in Idaho, but he did manage to appeal to life in prison, so lucky break, right? Well, this wasn't good enough for Creech, because while imprisoned, he killed another inmate. This guy was practically begging for the death penalty. But there was yet another issue. Lethal injection is a long process, and if you can't find someone's veins, it can take about 6 to 10 minutes to successfully inject someone. Normally, it takes 2 or 3 tries on people with suboptimal vein placement. But in Creech's situation, it took not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 8 times before the warden decided to call off the execution after an hour trying to find this man's veins.
Yo, I'll be damned they try to execute me 8 times and fail every single time. Then I gotta go back to my cell and think about what? But he brave for sitting in that chair that many attempts, bro. I would have already started bugging out.
Wait, hold on. If you made it this far into the video, please subscribe.
Yeah,
anyway, next up is the execution of Joe James. Joe James of Alabama was on death row in 2022 for a crime that he'd committed all the way back in the Middle Ages. And by that, I mean March 1994. Basically, Joe James followed a woman home and shot her multiple times. In 1996, Joe James was found guilty of capital murder, and the judge imposed the death penalty on him. But the judge apparently had wrongfully admitted certain police reports as evidence, meaning that Joe James would avoid death row. But dun dun dun, not for long. Because in 1999, he was tried again and was put back on death row. Whoa. This man was so goofy. He got put on death row twice. What followed was 22 long years of suing the government and numerous justice system officials, which is truly the American dream. But why was he doing this? Well, Joe James claimed he was not allowed to choose how he died. Wait, does that make any sense? Why would that be an objection you have? Well, anyway, Joe James stated that he wanted to be executed by nitrogen hypoxia, which was an untested method of execution at the time. But regardless, his execution date was set as July 28th, 2022, where James was scheduled for execution at 6 p.m. But he wasn't pronounced dead until 9 p.m., which means that Joe was painfully dying for 3 whole hours, which just sounds horrendous.
He chose it.
These survivors got off relatively lucky compared to a man by the name of Wenceslow Mogul. Okay, I got it now. For the sake of this video, we'll call him Wesley. So Wesley is a pretty interesting nickname, which actually connects to his botched execution. That nickname being El Fusilado, which literally translates to the shot one. And they do mean this very literally. As Wesley was sentenced to death by firing squad, getting shot 10 times before being shot by the coup de grace, or the death blow. However, Wesley was a persistent bugger, as even after being shot 10 times, he was fine. I mean, he was permanently scarred and disfigured, but he did in fact live. How he lived is often questioned, and you can stand on various sides. Some think he was rescued, some say he escaped, but one thing is for certain is Wesley lived a long and happy life. Wow. Imagine being shot approximately 10 times and just walking away from it.
Wait, what? Didn't he get to this execution by firing squad, and he survived the firing squad? So that means he's good? He's free to go?
Wesley's story was so famous that it actually appeared in the TV show Ripley's Believe It or Not, and appeared in the song by the band Chumbawamba. That fact is just not relevant in any way. I just think it's fun to say. Chumbawamba. But you know what's not quite as fun to say? Gingyao Losungorn.
Gingyao Losungorn.
And no, that's not a type of cuisine. It's actually the name of a Thai woman who survived an execution due to a medical issue. Okay, let's back up quickly.
Medical issue?
Today we're going to be studying biology. Now, tell me, where would you find your heart inside your body? If you said on the left side of your chest, you'd be wrong.
What?
Wait, hang on. How's that? Okay, apparently Gingyao had a medical condition known as situs inversus, which roughly translates to organs over here, should be over here. So Gingyao had a pretty minimal criminal history, but minimal was clearly enough for her employers as she was fired from her housekeeping slash childcare job by a Bangkok couple with a 6-year-old son. Gingyao needed money, and so as one does, her boyfriend convinced her to kidnap the child and to hold him for ransom.
This is stupid.
Or should I say ransom? Haha.
They said
Gingyao and her boyfriend were accompanied by a small group of established criminals, and this kidnapping boy band told the parents to leave a bag of 200,000 Thai bucks by a flag between two
Thai
railway
bucks.
stations.
That's their currency
The only
name.
problem was they did this at night.
Yeah, the Thai
when it was dark,
dollars.
and as such, the parents couldn't find the flag.
Oh,
As a
$8.
result, the group who took the child off of Gingyao ended the child.
What?
Parents couldn't. The only problem was they did this at night when it was dark, and as such, the parents couldn't find the flag. As a result, the group who took the child off of Gingyao ended the child and buried his body, despite Gingyao trying to stop them. But she was involved anyway, and as such, when the police eventually caught her in the group, she was sentenced to death by firing squad. During the execution, she was shot 10 times with a machine gun. To any mere mortal, except for the other guy we talked about, this would be fatal. Like, almost 100% of the time. But because of her weird heart, she was able to survive the shooting initially. Unfortunately, she had been shot, so she wasn't able to clearly show she was alive. She was only found to be alive after she was literally inside the morgue. Of course, they couldn't have this, and so they were forced to shoot her again. Gingyao's medical condition could have been the thing to save her, but she was killed during the second execution. RIP. Speaking of escaping, this next prisoner actually escaped from death row just before he was set to be executed. Vo Van Ba was a Vietnamese man who was arrested in 1977 for some crimes YouTube would just love to demonetize me for sharing. Vo Van Ba was in prison, awaiting his execution, when he found an opportunity to escape. He was able to break out of the Hao Gang.
Okay, bro, I've been watching Prison Break like every night. I'm stuck on Prison Break, bro. I feel like me personally, bro, I'm getting out of prison. Knowing what I know now, I'm the first person out of there. I feel like they would compare me to a Michael Scott. I said Scott, Michael Schofield. My fault. Schofield. My fault. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna keep watching.
Prison by breaking out of his brick cell while the guards were changing
I'm gonna keep watching this shit up.
He then hopped the jail fence before vanishing without a trace.
Without a trace.
Until some massively obsessive police officers were able to track him down in the Dong Nai province. When he was captured, Ba revealed that he had changed his name to be New Ying Vang Tu, and has actually started a whole new life for himself. With him being recaptured, it's highly likely he'll have to go back on death row. But not everyone is lucky enough to escape, as our next botched execution shows. This is the story of a man with the whitest name in history, Thomas Scott. Now, Thomas was an Irish Protestant who emigrated to Canada in 1863. While working as a laborer, Thomas Scott fell in love with politics. Alright, I'm about to hit you with some history. If it's confusing, just pretend you understand it. The Canadian Party wanted to establish a Protestant group in an area called the Red River Colony, but they wanted it done peacefully, unlike a man called Louis Riel. Louis Riel was the leader of a group in the Red River area called the Métis people. The Métis people.
What the heck is this creature right here? Y'all seeing this dude? Oh, wow, my fault. Y'all seeing this dude? Are these his eyes, or is he closing his eyes? Are they open? Are they? He's definitely fear-filled. What the heck?
Canadians that felt that the Red River Colony was rightfully their land, and they would claim it from the government by any means necessary. And those means would go on to be disruptive, and this entire disruption would eventually become known as the Red River Rebellion. Both sides of this disturbance, being the Canadian Party and Riel's group, had different ideas for the area, and so they fought a ton.
I see the only different looking one.
During the Red River Rebellion, Thomas Scott was a key member of the Canadian Party, leading his side to victory. Wait, he was shot almost immediately. That's kind of anticlimactic. Well, after he was captured, Thomas Scott was pretty much immediately sentenced to death by firing squad. Scott was shot by the first group in the upper chest and shoulder, but he was relatively okay, meaning he didn't instantly die. So of course they would shoot him again, and this time he was shot in the back of the head. And he survived? Wait, what? Okay, it turns out that Scott was shot in the back of the head, but just lower than his brain, which caused the bullet to come out through his jaw. Still alive, Scott allegedly played dad a little bit too well, because he was put in a coffin and buried alive. Whether he died of blood loss, asphyxiation, or loneliness, we may never know. But at least he died doing what he loved.
Whoa, how is he still alive till that point?
Speaking of politics, this next failed execution is actually all about it. Let's paint the scene. It's the 1500s,
1500s?
way before us, the internet, or TikTok ever existed. And little Mary here, at 6 years old, is about to become the Queen of Scotland. The date is the 14th of December,
Damn.
1542. And Mary's
1540, bro, how do they have records that far back? That's what I'm confused about. How do you know this? No way you know this from that far back. 1542? Do they just tell their kids these stories? I'm real confusion right now,
Scots
bro.
has just been crowned. All things are going well. The country of Scotland is now in the hands of a child who probably can't tell the difference between the crown and a Boeing 737, but that's irregardless of the point. Mary lived a relatively stress-free life for a monarch. She married her cousin, then proceeded, allegedly, to murder said cousin, and then raised the child she'd had with her cousin. But Mary, Queen of Scots, was certainly not popular, and by July 1567, the people of Scotland had given up on her, and they decided that they needed a progressive leader. They needed a leader so fresh that they could revitalize the country with new ideas. And so they crowned the perfect person for this. Mary's 1-year-old son.
Doesn't make sense.
Let's go. Now we have a man to rule us. Mary, of course, tried to reclaim the throne, but after proving unsuccessful, she ran to the only cousin she could not legally marry, Queen Elizabeth I. And this is where stuff got real. As a great-granddaughter of Henry VII, Mary, Queen of Scots, was eligible for the throne of England, which she had actually held before. She was a Catholic as opposed to Elizabeth's Protestant. So many people, particularly of the North, felt that Mary was the legitimate Queen of England. And so, as we all know, the North rallied against the South, with House Stark leading the charge. That's Game of Thrones. And so Mary, Queen of Scots, rallied against the South, and quite instantly she was arrested and confined to various castles and manor houses across England over the course of several years, and it didn't go very well. After 18.5 years in the most aristocratic captivity ever, Mary was finally sentenced to death for conspiring to assassinate Queen Elizabeth I. And this is where the botched execution comes in. See, back in those days, you couldn't even get a flu injection, so a lethal injection was far off the table. And given that electricity was at this point a little zap coming from the sky in gloomy days, there was really only a couple of execution methods available. You could be hung, or you could be beheaded.
Or stoned.
And so, of course, Mary chose to be beheaded. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was her first mistake. So, out came the executioner with his freaking big axe. Mary put her head down to be chopped off, and the executioner missed. Instead of striking her neck, the executioner hit her straight in the back of the head, which must have hurt a little. But luckily, with the next swing, he tried again. And this time, almost decapitated Mary. I mean, seriously, how do you almost decapitate someone? Anyway, he tried a third time, and a final blow chopped off Mary's head. And so the executioner held up Mary's head and exclaimed, "God save the Queen," before the hair on Mary's head came loose, revealing it was all a wig. And her head rolled down the execution chamber. Fun. Anyway, YouTube thinks that you'll like this video over here, so click it.
That was a very dark video. I did not think it was gonna take that deep of a turn. But oh yeah, I remember this. What a video. But yeah, bro, it's really late over here. Shout out to Kelevin. I think it's Kelevin. Shout out to Kelevin or Kelevin for the video. The worst boss execution in the A. Tell me which one which one did you think was the most botched? Let me know. But other than that, bro, like, comment, subscribe, do that good stuff. Comment what videos you want me to react to next. And yeah, I'll see y'all later, man.
Tell her that's light. She want something, don't look at the price. For the J's, I can stop at the light. I got the sands on. Give her out, but she push it like man's on.